Campania is a region in southern Italy. The region at the end of 2014 had a population of around 5,869,000 people, making it the third most populous region of Italy. Its total area of 13,590 square kilometers makes it the most densely populated region in the country. Located on the Italian peninsula, with the Mediterranean Sea to the west, it includes the small Phlegrean Islands and Capri for administration as part of the region. Campania was colonized by ancient Greeks and was part of Magna Graecia. During the Roman era, the area maintained a Greco-Roman culture. The capital city of Campania is Naples. Campania is rich in culture, especially in regard to gastronomy, music, architecture, archaeological and ancient sites such as Pompeii, Herculaneum, Paestum and Velia. The name of Campania itself is derived from Latin, as the Romans knew the region as Campania Felix, which translates into English as fertile countryside. The rich natural sites of Campania make it highly important in the tourism industry, especially along the Amalfi Coast, Mount Vesuvius and the island of Capri. History. Ancient tribes and Samnite wars. The original inhabitants of Campania were three defined groups of the ancient peoples of Italy, who all spoke the Oscan language, which is a part of the Italic family. Their names were the Osci, the Aurunci and the Ozones. During the 8th century BC, people from Euboea in Greece, known as Cumians, began to establish colonies in the area roughly around the modern-day province of Naples. Another Oscan tribe, the Samnites, moved down from central Italy into Campania. Since the Samnites were more warlike than the Campanians, they easily took over the cities of Capua and Cumae, in an area which was one of the most prosperous and fertile in the Italian peninsula at the time. During the 340s BC, the Samnites were engaged in a war with the Roman Republic in a dispute known as the Samnite Wars, with the Romans securing rich pastures of northern Campania during the First Samnite War. The major remaining independent Greek settlement was Neapolis, and when the town was eventually captured by the Samnites, the Roman consul Quintus Publilius Philo recaptured Neapolis by 326 BC and allowed it to remain a Greek city with some autonomy as a civitas foederata, while strongly aligned with Rome. The Second Samnite War ended with the Romans controlling southern Campania and additional regions further to the south. Roman period. Campania was a full-fledged part of the Roman Republic by the end of the 4th century BC, valued for its pastures and rich countryside. Its Greek language and customs made it a center of Hellenistic civilization, creating the first traces of Greco-Roman culture. During the Pyrrhic War, the battle took place in Campania at Maleventum, in which the Romans, led by consul Curius Dentatus, were victorious. They renamed the city Beneventum, which grew in stature until it was second only to Capua in southern Italy. During the Second Punic War in 216 BC, Capua, in a bid for equality with Rome, allied with Carthage. The rebellious Capuans were isolated from the rest of Campania, which remained allies of Rome. Naples resisted Hannibal due to the imposing walls. Capua was eventually starved into submission in the Roman retaking of 211 BC, and the Romans were victorious. The rest of Campania, with the exception of Naples, adopted the Latin language as official and was Romanized. As part of the Roman Empire, Campania, with Latium, formed the most important region of the Augustan divisions of Italia. Campania was one of the main areas for granary. Roman emperors chose Campania as a holiday destination, among them Claudius and Tiberius, the latter of whom is infamously linked to the island of Capri. It was also during this period that Christianity came to Campania. Two of the apostles, Saint Peter and Saint Paul, are said to have preached in the city of Naples, and there were also several martyrs during this time. Unfortunately, The period of relative calm was violently interrupted by the epic eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79, which buried the cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum. With the decline of the Roman Empire, its last emperor, Romulus Augustus, was put in a manor house prison near Castel dell'Ovo, Naples, in 476. Ushering in the beginning of the Dark Ages and a period of uncertainty in regard to the future of the area. Feudalism in the Middle Ages. The area had many duchies and principalities during the Middle Ages, in the hands of the Byzantine Empire and the Lombards. Under the Normans, the smaller independent states were brought together as part of the Kingdom of Sicily, before the mainland broke away to form the Kingdom of Naples. It was during this period that elements of Spanish, French and Aragonese culture were introduced to Campania, the kingdom Norman to Angevin. After a period as a Norman kingdom, the Kingdom of Sicily passed to the Hohenstaufens, who were a powerful Germanic royal house of Swabian origins. The University of Naples Federico II was founded by Frederick II in the city, the oldest state university in the world, making Naples the intellectual center of the kingdom. Conflict between the Hohenstaufen house and the papacy led in 1266 to Pope Innocent IV crowning Angevin dynasty Duke Charles I as the king. Charles officially moved the capital from Palermo to Naples, where he resided at the Castel Nuovo. During this period, much Gothic architecture sprang up around Naples, including the Naples Cathedral, the main church of the city. In 1281, with the advent of the Sicilian Vespers, the kingdom split in half. The wars continued until the Peace of Caltabellotta in 1302, which saw Frederick III recognized as King of the Isle of Sicily, while Charles II was recognized as the King of Naples by Pope Boniface VIII. Despite the split, Naples grew in importance, attracting Pisan and Genoese merchants, Tuscan bankers, and with them some of the most championed Renaissance artists of the time, such as Boccaccio, Petrarch and Giotto. Alfonso I conquered Naples after his victory against the last Angevin king, René, and Naples was unified for a brief period with Sicily again. Aragonese to Bourbon Sicily and Naples were separated in 1458 but remained as dependencies of Aragon under Ferrante. The new dynasty enhanced Naples' commerce by establishing relations with the Iberian Peninsula. Naples also became a center of the Renaissance, with artists such as Laurana da Messina, Sannazaro and Poliziano arriving in the city. During 1501, Naples came under direct rule from France at the time of Louis XII, as Neapolitan King Frederick was taken as a prisoner to France. This lasted 4 years. Spain won Naples at the Battle of Garigliano and, as a result, Naples then became part of the Spanish Empire throughout the entire Habsburg Spain period. The Spanish sent viceroys to Naples to directly deal with local issues, the most important of which was Pedro Alvarez de Toledo, who was responsible for considerable social, economic and urban progress in the city. He also supported the Inquisition. During this period, Naples became Europe's second largest city after Paris. During the Baroque era it was home to artists including Caravaggio, Rosa and Bernini, philosophers such as Telesio, Bruno Campanella and Vico, and writers such as Battista Marino. A revolution led by local fisherman Masaniello saw the creation of a brief independent Neapolitan republic, though this lasted only a few months before Spanish rule was regained. Finally, by 1714, the Spanish ceased to rule Naples as a result of the War of the Spanish Succession. It was the Austrian Charles VI who ruled from Vienna, similarly, with viceroys. However, the War of the Polish Succession saw the Spanish regain Sicily and Naples as part of a personal union, which in the Treaty of Vienna were recognized as independent under a cadet branch of the Spanish Bourbons in 1738 under Charles VII. During the time of Ferdinand IV, the French Revolution made its way to Naples. Horatio Nelson, an ally of the Bourbons, even arrived in the city in 1798 to warn against it. However, Ferdinand was forced to retreat and fled to Palermo, where he was protected by a British fleet. Naples' lower classes were pious and royalist, favoring the Bourbons. In the melee that followed, they fought the Neapolitan pro-republican aristocracy, causing a civil war. The Republicans conquered Castel Sant'Elmo and proclaimed a Parthenopean republic, secured by the French army. A counter-revolutionary religious army of Lazzaroni under Fabrizio Ruffo was raised. They had great success and the French surrendered the Neapolitan castles and were allowed to sail back to Toulon. Ferdinand IV was restored as king. However, after only 7 years, Napoleon conquered the kingdom and instated Bonapartist kings, including his brother Joseph Bonaparte, with the help of the Austrian Empire and allies. The Bonapartists were defeated in the Neapolitan War and Bourbon Ferdinand IV once again regained the throne and the kingdom. The Congress of Vienna in 1815 saw the kingdoms of Naples and Sicily combine to form the two Sicilies, with Naples as the capital city. Naples became the first city on the Italian peninsula to have a railway in 1839. There were many factories throughout the kingdom, making it a highly important trade center. World War II, Salerno capital. In September 1943, Salerno was the scene of the Operation Avalanche and suffered a great deal of damage. From February 12 to July 17, 1944, it hosted the government of Marshal Pietro Badoglio. In those months, Salerno was the temporary capital of the Kingdom of Italy, and the King Victor Emmanuel III lived in a mansion in its outskirts. Salerno received the first tricolor in an official ceremony on 7 January 2012 from the Premier Mario Monti, to celebrate the glorious story of Italy and its old capitals. Geography. Campania has an area of 13,590 square kilometers and a coastline of 350 kilometers on the Tyrrhenian Sea. Campania is famous for its gulfs as well as for 3 islands. 4 other regions border Campania: Lazio to the northwest, Molise to the north, Apulia to the northeast and Basilicata to the east. The mountainous interior is fragmented into several massifs, rarely reaching 2,000 meters, whereas close to the coast there are volcanic massifs, Vesuvio and Campi Flegra. The climate is typically Mediterranean along the coast, whereas in the inner zones it is more continental, with low temperatures in winter. 51% of the total area is hilly, 34% mountainous and the remaining 15% is made up of plains. There is a high seismic risk in the area of the region. Economy. The agro-food industry is one of the main pillars of industry of Campania. The organization of the sector is improving and leading to higher levels of quality and salaries. Campania mainly produces fruit and vegetables, but has also expanded its production of flowers grown in greenhouses, becoming one of the leading regions of the sector in Italy. The value added of this sector represents around 6.5% of the total value added of the region, equaling €213.7 million. Campania produces over 50% of Italy's nuts and is also the leader in the production of tomatoes, which reaches 1.5 million tons a year. A weak point, however, for the region's agriculture is the very reduced size of farms, equal to 3.53 hectares. Animal breeding is widespread and the milk produced is used to process typical products, such as mozzarella. Olive trees cover over 74,604 hectares of the agricultural land and contribute by €620.6 million to the value added of agriculture. Together with the production of fruit, wine production has increased, together with the quality of the wine. The region has a dense network of road and motorways, a system of maritime connections and an airport, which connect it rapidly to the rest of the country. Campania has a series of historical problems and internal contrasts, although they are improving. The regional capital, Naples, one of the most populated and interesting cities in Italy, rich in history and natural beauty, both artistic and archaeological, still represents the center of regional life. The port connects the region with the whole Mediterranean basin, and brings tourists to the archaeological sites, the cities of art, to the beautiful coastal areas and to the islands. The services sector makes up for 78% of the region's gross domestic product. Demographics. The region, with a population of over 5.8 million inhabitants, is divided into 5 provinces: Naples, Benevento, Avellino, Caserta and Salerno. Over half of the population is resident in the province of Naples, where there is a population density of 2,626 inhabitants per square kilometre. Within the province, the highest density can be found along the coast, where it reaches 13,000 inhabitants per square kilometre in the city of Portici. The region, which was characterized until recently by an acute economic contrast between internal and coastal areas, has shown an improvement in the last decade thanks to the development of the provinces of Benevento and Avellino. At the same time, the provinces of Naples, Caserta and in part Salerno, have developed a variety of activities connected to advanced types of services. Unlike central and northern Italy, in the last decade the region of Campania has not attracted large numbers of immigrants. The Italian National Institute of Statistics (ISTAT) estimated in January 2007 that 98,052 foreign-born immigrants live in Campania, equal to 1.7% of the total regional population. Part of the reason for this is in recent times, there have been more employment opportunities in northern regions than in the southern Italian regions. Government and politics. The politics of Campania takes place in a framework of a presidential representative democracy, whereby the president of regional government is the head of government, and of a pluriform multi-party system. Executive power is exercised by the regional government. Legislative power is vested in both the government and the regional council. The Regional Council of Campania is composed of 60 members, of which 47 are elected in provincial constituencies with proportional representation, 12 from the so-called regional list of the elected president, and the last one is for the candidate for president who comes second, who usually becomes the leader of the opposition in the council. If a coalition wins more than 55% of the vote, only 6 candidates from the regional list will be elected, and the number of those elected in provincial constituencies will be 53. Administrative divisions. Campania is divided into 5 provinces: